that is relevant to everybody in terms of people with different health concerns, and it's one that I find particularly fascinating. You do have a summary sheet in front of you, so don't worry too much about taking notes. That covers all the main points I'll be making. But if you see any particular slides that you're interested in, we can make those available to you either through email or printing out copies that you can pick up at the store if there's anything you want. Because like I said, this is the first time I'm seeing slides up on a screen versus on a small screen. So hopefully it'll be visible to everybody. So let's get started. Feel free, by the way, to jump in with questions if you have them as we go along. I'm happy to make it interactive now that we're together again. And what we're going to talk about basically is what is collagen, where does it go, and how do we get it back? That's basically the simplest idea. So just to give me an idea of, if you want to, if you're feeling brave or want to put your hand up or throughout, like what drew you out tonight? Is because you've heard the word collagen, you've heard conflicting information about it. There's always anything that's a hot topic. There's always going to be some myths or misinformation or conflicting information. It's something that's helpful for both things we can see on the outside, we can't see on the inside. I'm just curious about what drew you out tonight. Yep.
I'm familiar with myofascia, and I know that it's fed by collagen and water, and that gives it the elasticity so that we don't get sore and stiff. And
that's right.
We can become ageless, and I would just like to know how that collagen is absorbed into the myofascia, because it was my understanding if it was oral, that you don't get much benefit from it.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, so fascia or fascia, tomato, depending on how you pronounce it, that's definitely a very important part, absolutely what we're going to be covering, one of the things I'll be covering. Any other interests, health concerns? Yes?
Yeah, collagen and osteo.
Collagen and osteo, as in osteoporosis. Yes, okay, great, definitely.
I've heard it's very important for rebuilding of tendons and ligaments if they get injured.
Definitely, absolutely, yes. So far, everybody, you've got the right info. Yep.
That's not replaceable.
That it's not replaceable. You've heard that. Okay, let's talk about that too. Yes?
So what drew me out tonight was hearing that you would be here. Like, you wrote that book, Vitamin K2 and the Calcium Paradox. And it's just a fascinating read to me. And I lent it to someone. And
never got it back.
I never got it back.
Yeah.
And I was hoping you would sell it.
We can
So I
get
have
you.
to find out how I can get another one.
We can get you one. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
But
I'm
I
touched.
just wanted to say, they're trying to put fluoride back in the water. And to me, your 10 pages in there on dental health is the rebuttal to, the supposed need for fluoride, right? So, I wanted to come out, I was sure whatever you were talking about.
And I will be touching on K2 briefly, but yeah, I doubt they're going to get away with fluoride in the water in Alberta. But yes, and I'll be touching on some of those points, and we'll work out a book for you for sure. Okay, anything? Yes?
I just wanted to find out if there's any benefit to collagen products like topical. Because I've heard that
Great
there is
question.
benefit, it can't be absorbed.
I will cover that too. Okay, good. This is fascinating because it's nice to know what people hear.
So for me, it's collagen and osteoarthritis. Is there any benefit to
Okay.
osteoarthritis?
All right, so we already mentioned osteoporosis in the bones. So when we're talking about osteoarthritis in the joints. Okay, great. Anything else?
So are there types of collagen that we can't process?
That's another good question. Are there types of collagen we can't process? We'll talk about that too. All right, so it sounds like there's lots of burning questions, and I hope to answer them all. So let us be all on the same page and talk about, first of all, what is collagen? It's a term we've heard thrown around, and like I said, these slides are coming out a bit small, but don't worry, I'll be saying everything that's on the slides. Basically, collagen is a main structural protein in the body. It makes up to 35% of all of the protein in our body. When we think of protein, we tend to think of muscle. But in fact, everything that holds the muscles together and all the other structural proteins in our body, for the most part, are collagen. So it's a type of protein that we find throughout the body. There are, in fact, about 24 different types of collagen in the body, but 90% of the collagen in the body is one type that I'll talk about. About another 9% is another type, and then the other two less than 22 types is like the 1%. So for the most part, there's one type of collagen, but we need different types of collagen, this type of connective tissue, in our eyeballs versus our skin versus our bones and joints and tendons. So that's why we have all these different types, and in our arteries, for example. So we have collagen all around, and it basically provides a scaffold all throughout the body. And so, for example, our skin is 75% collagen by dry weight. In other words, not including the water. There's not a ton of water in our skin. There is definitely some. Ligaments are 70 to 90% collagen. So definitely when there's a loss of collagen, that can affect ligaments, or if tendons or ligaments have been damaged, then collagen is absolutely required for their repair. Tendons as well, they are 80 to 90% collagen. So ligaments, by the way, are the pieces that connect bones to bones, whether tendons are the sinewy parts that connect bones and muscles. So they're very similar. Cartilage, the end caps on our joints, for example, that help our knees glide and other joints glide, they are 70% collagen by dry weight. Bones, they seem so hard, but in fact, bones are 30% collagen by weight. And blood vessels are also 40% collagen. So collagen, there's a huge amount of it throughout the body. And so if collagen levels are changing, that could potentially impact the structure and the function of any of those tissues and more. So that's what makes it so important. Now, the next slide, I apologize for, there is lots of information on here. There will not be a test, but it's to help you understand how much collagen we have and how much collagen we need and how much collagen the body makes on a daily basis. So to answer your question, the body absolutely does make collagen once it's lost. It does that every day. If it didn't do that, then I probably wouldn't be here. So this is the good news, is it does make collagen. In fact, the body has to make about 1 pound of fresh new collagen every 5 days to keep up with and help maintain our tissues, just to stay at what would be a baseline. So for example, in an average sized person, I'm not sure what size person they're taking here, but the skeleton has an estimated 1.6 kilograms of, 1,640 grams of collagen in there. So yeah, 1.6 kilograms of collagen in your skeleton. And that's what holds the minerals in. We'll talk about this more shortly. About 3% of this is turning over every day. So like every tissue in the body, there's a little bit of breakdown, and then you need to replenish. That's how we maintain. You may have heard that you're a whole new person every 7 years because all of your tissues have been replaced. So this breaks down about 43 grams of it a day, and so you need to make 43 grams of new collagen every day just to maintain your bones. And if not, then bones can start to thin. We'll talk about that shortly. Your skin has about 1.4 kilograms of collagen. About 2% of that is turning over per day, which means every day you need to make about 28 grams of new fresh collagen to maintain your skin. And so on and so forth, about 18 grams to maintain your muscles, about 4.5 grams for your cartilage, trace amounts, fairly small amounts, less than a gram for things like heart, lung, and ligaments, but because those are smaller weight tissues typically. But the point is that every day you need to make about 100 grams of collagen. So over 5 days, that's about 500 grams or a pound to maintain your body. And the body has a way of doing this. There are cells that make collagen. These are called fibroblasts. They're working every day. Our fibroblasts will make new collagen. Different types of collagen depending on where they are in the body. Most of this is what we call type 1 collagen. This is happening all the time. But over time, one, collagen breakdown can accelerate. We'll talk about things that do that, as well as the working of our fibroblasts can start to slow down. And if that's the case, maybe they're not making 100 grams of collagen per day. Maybe they're only making 70 grams of collagen per day. Then what? So talk about that. So ultimately, and excuse me for the dark slides on some of these here, but basically, starting at the age of about 21, we start to lose about 1%, there's a net loss of about 1% of collagen per year because the fibroblasts start to slow down and they are replacing and replenishing collagen a bit slower than they used to. And so this, by the time we hit our probably mid-30s, can reveal itself visibly by the beginnings of fine lines. And there is a certain amount of genetic component to this, but that's actually not the largest factor in how quickly we lose collagen or how quickly, for example, our fibroblasts drop off. But that's usually when we start to see those first fine lines, is in the mid-30s, because there's enough of a collagen loss, a net loss there, that we can start to see some changes, for example, in the structure of the skin. And everybody has heard this, right? There's two factors here. I'll explain one. One later has to do with vitamin C, but the one now, cortisol, is the stress hormone. It will degrade collagen. And so it's not a myth. Everybody knows somebody who has been through stress because they look like they have been stressed. Skin looks more lined. There's dark circles that appear under the eyes. That's because there's a thinning of the connective tissue under the eyes, and then the eyes can appear, say, darker or more gray. Now that's when the darkness is in the tear trough. For people who have like a dark circle that goes all the way under the eye like this, that's usually genetic, more so than the one that goes on my diagonal, that's the tear trough, which is due to thinning of the collagen. Of course, age will impact our collagen levels. I've already mentioned menopause. UV light, we know that will break down your collagen, but just locally. So wherever you're exposed to the UV light, that will cause accelerated collagen breakdown in that area, not all throughout the body. And inadequate nutrition, we're going to focus on that. And which specific nutrients, when I mean inadequate nutrition, which specific nutrients we're talking about. Smoking, that's a no-brainer, and everybody knows that that causes an acceleration of collagen due to the effects of the toxins in the smoke and the fact that that means that we need more antioxidants. A lack of exercise, interestingly. This is counterintuitive, but it absolutely happens. By not exercising, people are creating often inflammation in the body. Anything that creates inflammation will accelerate collagen breakdown. A lot of too much exercise can sometimes cause the same phenomenon. Any kind of excess free radical damage or a lack of antioxidants, and I'll get into more details on that shortly. Okay, so let's talk about skin. So this is the place where we can visualize collagen changes most readily. So collagen, obviously declining collagen in the skin will change the structure of the skin and contribute to wrinkles as well as sagging because the skin loses its structural components. The fibroblasts also produce elastin, which has a stretchy component. So collagen itself is extremely strong. It's a protein made of 3 different fibers that are curled together, and they are extremely strong. Like by equal amount of size, collagen is as strong as steel. It can hold that much weight. And it's also extremely flexible. It can bend and shape into, ear shapes and blood vessel shapes, anything you need it to. But it doesn't really have any stretch to it. Remember the last time you tried to put on a pair of jeans that didn't have any spandex in them at all? And you're like, oh yeah, these don't stretch. That's like collagen. But fibroblasts also make elastin because we need stretch, right? When you smile, your face has to come back to where it started. Or when your heart beats, the blood vessels have to expand and then contract, or when your lungs breathe, expand and contract. So the elastic components come also from fibroblasts. They produce elastin. And collagen also plays a certain role in holding moisture. There are other nutrients that are found there that play just as much of a role. So there's a certain amount of a hydrating effect because collagen will hold some water. So when you have abundant collagen, specifically the skin stays smooth on the surface, whereas when the collagen starts to be depleted, you can end up with wrinkles. This is a very famous picture. You've probably seen this fellow before. This person is a truck driver, and you can see where one side of his face was facing a window for 40 years. And see, so there's obviously some signs of collagen loss that are proportional to his age and lifestyle throughout his face, but the part that was facing the sun shows that localized UV damage to the skin. So it really does make a difference. Okay, now let's talk about bones. So bones are absolutely more than just calcium. As I mentioned, they're 30% collagen. And you know, osteoporosis requires more than just calcium to manage and help it. Because of this, the collagen aspect of bone health has really been overlooked for so long. Because ultimately the bones are forming a matrix of collagen, and there's binding sites, I'll show you shortly, in the bones that are made of collagen that will hold the minerals in. But if our collagen levels are shrinking, our bones are literally thinning, there's less place for the minerals to go. And so this is important. This is living, flexible tissue that is always also turning over and needs to be replaced. So when collagen levels in the body decline, the skeletal matrix can shrink. This is one factor in why people tend to get shorter with age. After a certain age, you lose the collagen in between the vertebrae, and that can cause a shrinking in height. And again, the average, women in particular, tend to lose about 8 to 9% bone mineral density every 10 years. That can absolutely affect men too, but women tend to get a head start on men in that department, so it's more common for women. But 8 to 9% of bone mineral density every 10 years, which roughly correlates with a similar amount of collagen loss. So if you look at the microscopic structure of the bone on the left-hand side, more collagen means more surface area for the calcium to bind to versus less collagen if you think of porous bones. The bones have more pores, more space, less area for calcium to bind to, not collagen to bind to. And again, with diminishing collagen, you end up with brittle bones, osteopenia, osteoporosis, and other things that can affect the bones. Now, if you don't believe me about the bones and the collagen, I don't know if anybody has ever done this before, the bendy bone experiment. Did you ever do this in high school where you took a chicken bone? So next time you have a chicken, it works, you can do it either cooked or not cooked. If you've had a roast chicken, for example, get a leg bone, put it in a dish of vinegar for a few days, and after a few days you'll see almost like a white sandy deposit at the bottom of the dish. That's the minerals, the calcium that's come out of the bone. But the bone looks just like it did when you put it in, although when you pick it up, the bone is now rubber. And it will bend. And that's not rubber, of course, it's collagen. And then you can see the bendy bone, and you can see the collagen, the calcium at the bottom of the dish. So this is a kind of a cool thing to really visualize and separate the minerals from the collagen and really drive home that point.
Is that the acid in used vinegar that's taking?
That's right.
Anything that is acidic, guessing, would be leaching the calcium up to the bone.
That can do that. So yes, so the question was, is it the acid? That's right. The acid is leaching the calcium out of the bones. So then this is where the considerations of, say, acidity or alkalinity in the body come from, and too much acidity can affect bone health. To the extremes, it potentially can, and that's sort of a way you can see that mechanism. Yeah. Also, what collagen does is it provides what's called toughness to bones. You don't just want your bones to be strong, but you want them to be flexible. You want them to bounce. If you fall, you need to bounce a little, right? Your bones need to bounce a little. So not just snap, but have a little bit of a bend to them. And that's what collagen does as well. And so bone mineral density is one aspect of bone health, but not the only aspect of bone health that determines fracture risk. So if you even have, if you have low bone mineral density, say osteopenia, but you have fallen and not broken something, that says a lot about your bone health, in that you may have resilient, bendy, as it's called, tough bones, which means they can bend a little. So that's important too. Now, interestingly, this is an excerpt from a paper. Nobody can read that, but the important quote here is, they have done studies showing that because of this correlation between collagen and bones, they can make independent predictors of a person's bone density simply by measuring facial wrinkles. And the connection between collagen on the outside and collagen on the inside is so close that you can make a pretty decent prediction of someone's bone mineral density by measuring facial wrinkling, which is very, very interesting. Now, collagen, as I mentioned, also about 40%, your arteries are about 40% collagen and elastin. Of course, they need to conform to all kinds of shapes throughout the body, and they need to stretch and contract. So lots of this connective tissue and lots of elastin in particular in arteries. And normal arterial walls will be very smooth, but as collagen is declining, the walls can become somewhat irregular, and then this can become areas of damage, for example. And so having adequate amounts of collagen in the body is important for blood vessel health, and declining collagen can be a contributing factor to cardiovascular health. So with a normal artery, like I said, the walls are nice and smooth. With a damaged artery, there is a potential, if there's an area of damage, that the body tries to heal that area by like patching it up a little bit. But if that's sitting there for too long, and depending on specific nutrients that may or may not be in the diet that we can talk about, that can get hardened. And these things work together to affect our blood vessel health. As a matter of fact, again, I don't know if you've heard of these ones, but there's two studies. One that have showed that a diagonal crease in the earlobe, and everybody's now checking each other's and their own ears, is a predictor of cardiovascular risk in men in particular. And so that, again, external wrinkling or collagen loss change can predict potentially health of the blood vessels, as well as people with numerous deep wrinkles across the forehead seem to have an elevated risk of cardiovascular disease. Not for everybody to get freaked out. There's a lot of
mostly for men too, same as the ear one, or women as well, the forehead one?
That one is also more so for men, although it does seem to pertain to women. But the point is, this all speaks to this connection to the changes we can see and the changes we can't see, right? She's seen quite a lot of smooth foreheads here tonight, but okay. So, this actually, the topic of my book, as it was mentioned earlier, is vitamin K2. And when we talk about blood vessel health in particular, preventing arterial calcification is extremely important. And as a matter of fact, cholesterol has been found to be not a good predictor of your risk of a heart attack. If you have slightly high cholesterol, has been shown to be, for people over the age 60, associated with a lower risk of heart attack and dementia. Certainly there's no good correlation between cholesterol and heart disease for women. There's a very small correlation as a predictor of heart attack risk for men. We've been really led astray with the cholesterol business. But where there is calcium in your artery, so as I said, as collagen starts to diminish, there can become thin areas in the arteries. The body may try to shore those up a little bit in some cases with these plaques. And if you're lacking specific nutrients, those areas can then become calcified. Then we have some problems. So just mention vitamin K2, although it is a nutrient that is not directly, actually there's new research to suggest that it does play a role in collagen production. Basically, the point of vitamin K2 is a nutrient that will help keep calcium in its place, help direct calcium towards your bones and teeth where you want it, and away from arteries and soft tissues. It will help prevent calcification of your collagen, whether that be in arteries, heel spurs, kidney stones, joints, etc. And so that's the role of vitamin K2. So I mentioned this as a nutrient that you can get through your diet as well as through supplements. Anybody know it's already up there, so I guess it's no fair to ask where you can get vitamin K2 in your diet. But good news, where you can get vitamin K2 in the diet: Brie, Gouda, and Jarlsberg cheeses. Yep. And you're looking at me like you don't believe me. If you really want a heart-healthy snack, Brie cheese and a glass of red wine cannot be beat. It's true. Ask the French, right? And there is natto, N-A-T-T-O. It's a Japanese fermented soybean food that is extremely high in vitamin K2. But all of these foods will help get you vitamin K2. If you're concerned about bone health, heart health, vitamin K2 will keep the calcium where it's supposed to be. And so this is where supplements come into. Yep.
I was just wondering about the brie cheese, how there's so many different types, like the triple cream brie and the regular, like, does it matter what type of brie?
Well, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, so technically the more creamy, the better. But as long as it's brie, I heard somebody cheering for that. As long as it's a brie, it's the bacteria, the brie bacteria that will make the vitamin K2, and so that's the main thing.
So what about the cheese by itself or wine by itself?
You can have them together or separate. Doesn't that's fine. Or one or the other. Well, you need the cheese in there. Yes.
Are you talking about like, I don't know, 40 milligrams, 80 milligrams of vitamin K a day, or like the dosage?
Okay, great question. So in terms of dosage, so as well, I mean, I love my cheese, but you can only eat so much of it in terms of, you don't necessarily feel like having it every single day or you get full or whatever. You're mixing it up. So for people who are really concerned, especially around bone health or heart health, you may be wanting to get it in on a daily basis from a supplement. There isn't a recommended intake of vitamin K2 yet. They're still working on establishing that. For general health, around 100 micrograms per day. So that would be, one capsule or one soft gel. Vitamin K2 is available. It's on its own. It's also available in combination with vitamin D. D and K2 work together. And so if you already take vitamin D, you can get K2 on its own or buy them together. For people who have low bone mineral density, the clinical trials with low bone mineral density are using around double that. They're using about 200 micrograms per day. And for the clinical trials for the people with arterial calcifications, they're using around double that. They're using almost 400 micrograms per day. So if you were eating natto every single day, a serving of this, you'd be getting about 400 micrograms. But I don't think taking that amount is necessary unless you have known arterial calcifications.
Hi. It's so funny this is brought up because my husband wanted to ask this question. I said it's not about K2 and it's color. Anyway, he is taking one supplement a day, it's 215 pounds. So he just wanted to know, do you take more the more you weigh, or is weight got anything to do with how much you take? Should he be taking two?
Great question. It has less to do with how much he weighs than how much vitamin D he takes. Does he take vitamin D?
Yeah, he takes them both.
The both? Like how much? Oh, he takes them both together.
Yeah.
That's like the K and D.
Actually,
All right, so that's fine. So he can take one of those a day, unless he has known arterial calcification, which he probably doesn't know because we don't get those tests here in Canada. So yeah, just one a day, that's fine. So the more vitamin D you take, the more vitamin K2 you need, and that's how much. So taking them together, you're good. Okay.
Just a quick question, like just looking, it says 1,000 units of the vitamin D, but most of us take more than 1,000. So you wouldn't up the 120 micrograms of the K, you'd still just take your 120 and you just additionally take more vitamin D?
No, if for this one, well, it depends. For if you have bone mineral density concerns, you definitely want to be taking the 200 micrograms of vitamin K2. I find it for convenience. If I want to take more D, I just take the K and D, and then you're covered. That's slightly more expensive because the K2 is more expensive and D is very, very inexpensive. So if you're really on a budget, you can just do the one and take extra D.
Take extra drops.
Yep, but I find I just take the K and D soft gels typically because it's convenient.
For the cheese, getting back to the brie,
Yes.
like how much of that would you need to take to offset having to take a supplement?
It depends on the individual cheese, and we can get you a list. Usually they're looking at about 4-ounce serving sizes, and depending on the cheese, you're getting between 50 to 80 micrograms of it. So you'd have to be committed to the cheese eating, but you could get there for sure.
If you decide you want to up your vitamin K, is it better to take them like one in the evening, one in the morning, or can you take them both?
You can take them both at the same time. If you want to do a divided dose, that's fine, or you can take them at the same time. It's such a tiny amount, it's very well absorbed that it's not critical. Yeah. Okay, so moving along, Okay, we'll get back to that if we need to. But okay, so and then collagen breakdown and cartilage. So I just wanted to say that about preventing calcification of our collagen. Vitamin K2 is important for bone health, for other reasons as well. But I just wanted to put that out there. And then, so you asked about osteoarthritis. So this is where we're talking about collagen in the cartilage. And this is another area where we have cartilage is, depending on the type of cartilage, it can be up to 60% collagen. And if that is diminishing, if the cartilage is thinning, then we're more prone to osteoarthritis. So this is the type of sort of wear and tear arthritis. So yes, collagen makes a big difference and plays a big role in that form of arthritis. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so what do we do to support our collagen and get our collagen back? So how do we help our fibroblasts make more collagen? But I will get into this. We're going to talk about supporting fibroblasts, focusing on biological pathways that generate new collagen. There's two main ways to do this, as well as protecting our collagen once it's formed to help minimize and slow its breakdown. And we'll talk about which specific nutrients we need to do that. And before I get to that, I'll talk about a lot of the questions that have already come up. Some of these are collagen myths that I hear out there. So the collagen myths and truths. For example, eating whole collagen and collagenous foods is the best way to get more collagen. So what are collagenous foods? Well, eating things like, first of all, bone broth, which is something I do highly recommend. If you make your own old-fashioned bone broth, I put in, chicken bones, broth, any kind of broth, bone, beef bones or whatever, and making a broth. Once that broth gels up, this is a food that does contain some collagen, but not a ton. So I do recommend this is a wonderful part of a healthy diet, great for digestive health, wonderful part of good cuisine. And it's a nice practice, but we don't get a lot of collagen through just eating bone broth or foods like tendons, for example. So, oops, where did my slide go? The slide's not showing here. So I would say this is more on the false side, although I do encourage people to eat, bone broth. There's more efficient ways to get your collagen. So let's move on to collagen creams, topical collagen hair products that can boost collagen in skin or hair. True or false? It is false, yes. So we don't absorb collagen directly through the skin or through the hair. It just kind of the molecule size is too big and it sits on top. So there are related products like hyaluronic acid serums. I'll talk about hyaluronic acid shortly. That topically can make a difference to skin hydration. It can be nice, but collagen isn't one of them. And collagen creams, the protein's just too big to go through the skin. So this one is.
Can you get like a fractionated collagen, something that actually goes on a carrier, like a smaller peptide or something? Will that work?
It would have to be a very small size peptide to get through the skin because our outer skin is just not designed for absorption of large molecules. It can definitely absorb lots of small things, but I haven't seen how small. It would have to be pretty small. And so whether they've come up with new delivery systems, I'm not aware of, but by and large, it's not as effective to try to apply it directly. Okay, so that one's false. And then next, all collagen supporting supplements are the same. As you can imagine, that this is false. There's a huge difference on the market between different collagen supporting supplements. So you have to keep in mind how it's absorbed, specifically if it's contaminant free, if it's sustainably and consciously sourced, and if there are peer-reviewed human clinical trials supporting the health claims. This is really, really important because there's all kinds of things out there making all kinds of claims. Not when you're shopping here. You know you're getting the proven products when you're shopping in a place like Replenish, but you hear all kinds of claims online, and if something's expensive, people tend to think, well, that must be working. Not necessarily. Here's a common one. Collagen is digested into single amino acids in our gut just like any other protein. In other words, just have a high protein diet, and that's all you need. But that is absolutely not the case. So getting enough protein in your diet is important to provide your body with the amino acids it needs to make collagen, But just having a lot of protein doesn't mean your body's going to make collagen. It doesn't mean the fibroblasts are going to respond to that. And on the flip side of that, collagen proteins, and specifically what are called hydrolyzed collagen peptides, have shown to be absorbed intact. So these little peptides, which means like you've got 2 or 3 amino acids long in a specific sequence, they are absorbed whole. And then that signals to the body, they're absorbed, it circulates in the body, and it tells the body, hey, look at these little collagen pieces. Collagen's breaking down, you should start making more. So that's how that works. So people think that they're taking collagen and somehow it's being incorporated. That's not exactly how that's working. The body is using those amino acids, but basically it's sending a signal to the fibroblast. And there is a way to do this as well, one way, because it's one of the most common questions I get asked, that doesn't involve animal products, a plant-based or you could say a vegan way. And then collagen myths or facts number 5, this is a challenging one. Collagen can be used as a protein powder replacement. You generally have that right. In general, no, because collagen is not a complete protein. It is missing the amino acid tryptophan. So on its own, no. If you add tryptophan to your collagen, then actually it becomes a complete protein. So that is, in general, this is true, but in fact, false, unless you add tryptophan. So I'll come back to that in a moment.
I was just going to ask about, so many protein powders now say that they include collagen, like protein powder with collagen.
Right, and so you know what, that varies so much. I'd have to see the individual formula to see if it's legit or not, or how much collagen you're getting, or what type of collagen you're getting. Yeah, there's a lot out there in the market, so I can't make a general statement about those ones. Okay, so let's talk about nutrients for collagen support. What do we need to help protect our collagen and make more collagen? So one of the things that will cause our collagen to break down and faster than it should, is free radical damage. So having adequate amounts of antioxidants will help protect your collagen and slow collagen breakdown. So that's really important. Colorful fruits and vegetables, herbs and spices, these are all great antioxidants. Vitamin C in particular, I'll talk about shortly. As I already mentioned, adequate protein intake is important. It's necessary, but not sufficient in and of itself, just to make more collagen. We also want to prevent inflammation, so I'll speak briefly about that, because if we have excess inflammation in the body, we'll accelerate collagen breakdown. And then we want to talk about specifically collagen generators. What kinds of things make our body make more collagen? So vitamin C is an extremely important nutrient, and specifically it's a rate-limiting nutrient for collagen production. The body will use vitamin C for the 2 main steps and the 2 main enzymes that we use to make collagen. So vitamin C is an interesting nutrient because, as you know, it's an essential nutrient. It means we can't make it ourselves. We have to get it in through our diet. And it's funny, we're one of the few mammals that can't make our own vitamin C. Most other animals can make, and most other mammals can make their own vitamin C, but human beings can't. We lost that ability somewhere along the way. And vitamin C is used for lots of things in the body, but 3 main things. The first one is stress hormone production. The body will use vitamin C to make things like adrenaline, and more so adrenaline and cortisol, but adrenaline, fight or flight hormones. The body will also use vitamin C, of course, for immune health, as well as collagen production. So, when you're under stress, what's the most important thing at that time? Stress hormone production. So your body will take all the vitamin C you have and direct it towards your adrenal glands for stress hormone production, for your adrenaline, because fight or flight is most important at that time. And if there isn't enough left over for your immune system, too bad, you're going to get sick after you were stressed. Or if there wasn't enough left over for your collagen production, too bad, you're going to look stressed. Because that's just the body didn't have enough. Do you get what I mean? The body will triage the importance of where it's going to send the vitamin C. So the point here is that getting in lots of vitamin C is important, but especially more so when we're under stress. Because think when you're under stress, you need enough to make your stress hormones and your immune support and your collagen, or else something's going to get left behind, and it's probably the collagen. So that's why people, as I mentioned, look stressed after they have been stressed.
Is it important to take like a time-release vitamin C or just multiple times a day or?
So with vitamin C, it's good to stagger it, or you find some way to increase the absorption. Time release is one way, and liposomal I'll talk about is another way. And how much do we need to take is a great question. So we need probably a lot more than the recommended daily intake is such a tiny amount. It's just enough to prevent scurvy. It's true. And for example, we're not goats, but we have similar sized liver to goats, depending on the size of the goat. And goats, that's where vitamin C is made. They make between 2 and 4 grams of vitamin C per day. 2 on a good day, 4 on a stressful day. So maybe we probably need a couple grams of vitamin C per day, especially when we're under stress, to meet all of our needs and to make sure we continue to make collagen even when we're going through stressful times, and we continue to support our immune system function. Skin dryness and brighter skin. Now this is one area where skin brightness, topical vitamin C also makes a difference, as probably you know, but taking it internally is important as well. So in terms of improving absorption, spacing it out can be handy. Time-released formulas can be handy because, again, the body can only absorb so much at once. Liposomal is a way to increase your vitamin C absorption. So here's an example. And the nice thing is that up until recently, most liposomal forms of vitamin C have been in, and most nutrients have been in liquids that are kind of unpalatable. But this is a liposomal form in a soft gel capsule. So this provides a buffered vitamin C, gentle on digestion, 500 milligrams. Oh, this one is 1,000 milligrams per dose. I think that's actually 2 capsules. Yeah. 500 milligrams per capsule. So you can break that up throughout the day.
Is it shelf stable?
Yes, it's shelf stable. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. Yes, that's right. That's another thing. Some of the liposomal forms previously, the non-encapsulated ones, might have been refrigerated. Yeah.
How important are the bioflavonoids, or is ascorbic acid on its own good enough?
I'm glad you asked that. Bioflavonoids are important. So bioflavonoids are these, I guess, vitamin-like molecules that you'll find together in most vitamin C foods. Like with an orange, the vitamin C is in the orange portion of it, and the bioflavonoids are in that white pithy portion. Don't peel that off, eat that. It's good. Same with your peppers. You know how we cut the white part out? Don't do that. Eat the white part. That's where the bioflavonoids are. So most foods contain vitamin C and bioflavonoids together in nature. It does improve the absorption of those. This one has it in it, right? I can't see on the side. This is a buffered vitamin C, not just vitamin C ascorbate. I don't have the zoom in.
I don't think it's.
Oh, the Regenerlife liposomal vitamin C has it.
Yes.
Thanks. The bioflavonoids. Okay. So that's vitamin C. It really is a critical rate-limiting nutrient. So think of it as a stress nutrient, think of it as an immune nutrient, and think of it as a collagen-supporting nutrient. And then preventing inflammation and oxidation. So omega-3 essential fatty acids are foundational nutrients for preventing inflammation. And when we prevent inflammation, we protect our collagen. Omega-3s are also nice for healthy skin, hair, and nails, wonderful for cardiovascular health. They're a foundational nutrient for brain health, cognition, mood, you name it. They're good for everything, and they're also quite challenging to get in through inadequate amounts or optimal amounts through diet alone. There are omega-3s in some plant-based foods like chia, for example, and flax seeds. But those come in a form that the body needs to convert to the form that we actually use, so it can be challenging to get enough in through plant-based sources. The pre-converted fish do this. They eat algae and then they convert it into these forms that we do use readily. So fish are a great way to get this in, although you can't necessarily eat especially larger fish on a daily basis because even if it's wild caught, you're exposing yourself to environmental contaminants. So small fish like anchovies and sardines are a wonderful snack, high protein as well as high in the omega-3s. And beyond this, an omega-3 essential fatty acid supplement is really so beneficial and so valuable to keep inflammation balanced, protect your collagen in doing so, and plus nice for skin, hair, nails, and everything else. So there's a big range on the market in terms of purity and potency when it comes to omega-3s. But this, for example, this one here, the RX Omega-3 Maximum Triple Strength, 900 milligrams of omega-3s divided into between EPA and DHA, because you do need both, and that can be taken. Well, it's, you know, it says it's a 1 a day. To be honest, in the wintertime, you probably want more than that. If your skin's at all dry in the winter, you want to be taking at least, you know, close to 2 grams of fish oil. Okay, any questions on that? Omega-3s. All right. So now you want to know about collagen generators. You're like, we've been here for almost an hour. We haven't talked about collagen generators. Okay. So there's 2 ways to make your fibroblasts make more collagen. You can use one or the other. You could use both, but either will work alone. I will talk about I guess you could say an animal-based way. So collagen supplements, these are coming from animal sources, either bovine or marine, so fish or beef. And basically what it is the collagen from those sources, you know, skeletons or bones or skin, for example, is broken down into small peptide fragments. So these were called hydrolyzed collagen peptides. You take those, and as I mentioned, as you absorb them, it signals to your body, there's little peptides of collagen floating around. That means collagen is breaking down, start making more, and you've got some amino acids to do it. That's how that works. So these, there's been a lot of popularity around these, and there's a few important things to know when you're looking or choosing these supplements that can make a big deal with the effects you get and how you feel while you're on them. So this is total body collagen. It comes in a powder or a capsule, or excuse me, a powder or a tablet. Most people opt for the powder. It comes in unflavored or 2 flavored versions. There's an orange and a pomegranate. Unflavored is popular because people put it into their coffee. And this can be taken for skin, for joint health, guaranteed improvements in fine lines and wrinkles within 4 weeks. For joint health, and this I would include joints and tendons in this, the labels say, I think the Health Canada requirements of the labels say something like use for 5 months to see improvements, which is, I don't know why that is the case, but you see improvements much quicker than that. Quieter, less creaky joints, and a more cushioned joints. And then over time, cartilage is being rebuilt, tendons are being rebuilt. So this is absolutely a really important part of osteoarthritis, treatment and therapy, as well as injury recovery for sure. So the total body collagen contains Verisol, which is a clinically proven form of bioactive collagen peptides, and studies on, you know, like I said, fine lines and wrinkles in 28 days, cellulite as well, and other research on skin and joints. But specifically, there are a couple of added ingredients in here. What I think is the most important is the tryptophan. So as I mentioned before, collagen is not a complete protein. It's missing the amino acid tryptophan. So what? When you take all the amino acids, when you take collagen that doesn't contain tryptophan, the body will take tryptophan from other areas to complete this protein. So for some people, this can cause tryptophan depletion, and low tryptophan levels can mess with your mood and your sleep. This, in fact, is used when they want to study models of depression, and they want to induce that. The scientists will give people collagen supplements that don't have tryptophan. Pretty quickly, tryptophan levels will drop, and it can affect mood, cognition, and sleep. So for people who have tried collagen supplements and didn't feel well, anybody have had experience? That can be why. It's good that nobody here has had that experience, but I hear about that sometimes. There's message boards about it. So this is total body collagen. Also contains a few other key ingredients. Hyaluronic acid, which is a nutrient produced by fibroblasts, and you've probably heard of hyaluronic acid. It absorbs water. It absorbs up to 1,000 times its weight in water. So it has a nice plumping, smoothing, hydrating effect for smooth, hydrated skin, cushioning, pulling fluid into, like synovial fluid into the joints to help cushion them. Hyaluronic acid is nice for that. There's also L-glutamine, another amino acid that will help with digestive health as well as muscle building, and biotin in here, as well as vitamin C. So it's a very complete collagen supplement, and it also comes in a marine base. Which one's better? Depends on your personal preference, whether bovine or marine source is your preference. Okay, any questions on this, or things you've heard about collagen supplements, or?
Is liquid collagen better than powder or the tablet, or it doesn't?
Doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't make a difference?
No.
It's no better, no worse?
I don't know what they're doing to stabilize the collagen in the liquid form, so I'd have to see what other kinds of ingredients or excipients. It's definitely no better. I don't know if it's worse, but they would have to be adding something to keep it stable, and I don't know what they add for that. Yeah. Anything else? No? Okay. So I mentioned there's two ways. So hydrolyzed collagen supplements are a way to get your collagen back, whether it's injury recovery, joint health, bone health, skin health. There is another way for people who are looking for a way to get the single most common question I get asked is, what about vegans, or what about people on plant-based diets, or what if I don't want to take a bunch of powder? There's only one way to do this, which is with something called BioSil. BioSil is referred to as the vegan collagen generator. This is choline stabilized orthosilicic acid. That's a mouthful. But basically, it's a specialized type of the mineral, well, silicic acid. It's a mineral that is bound to choline, which is a carrier type of healthy fat, protein fat, that it delivers the silicic acid, orthosilicic acid to your cells, and this will fire up your fibroblasts to get them to start producing collagen like crazy. It is the subject of a lot of clinical work for reductions in fine lines and wrinkles, increase in elasticity, improvements in hair, strength and thickness, as well as improvements in bone health and joint health. It was originally developed as a bone health product. And then people started to realize that they were getting all these side benefits of, smoother skin, less fine lines and whatnot. So it's definitely one to consider for bone health, because that's what it was originally studied for. Improvements in bone collagen production by 15%, and increase in hair and nail strength and thickness by about, I believe it was 13%. So this is the vegan collagen generator. It's one capsule, well, depending on the product you're taking, but there's new liquid soft gel caps. So in its nature, this is a liquid. You can take the liquid in drops, but choline is a very strong flavored substance, so you can get the liquid in little capsules, so you don't taste it at all. So those are the options for a vegan collagen generator.
So in other words, if you want the vegan option, you would go with this. But
Right.
if you want, because the Verisol with the collagen powder would be equivalent to the effects of what it has.
That's right. So if you want a vegan option, or if you just prefer the convenience of a couple little soft gels versus taking a drink or a powder, or it's a lot more tablets with that one, that's a great option too. It's convenient for travel, for example. Okay.
Is there one that's harder to utilize? Is the vegan one harder to utilize for the body?
No, the BioSil is very easy to utilize in the body. Excellent results. I can't say there's one that's harder to use or easier to use. Yeah.
So you wouldn't need both if you're taking BioSil, then you don't need the collagen.
Either one is a complete solution in and of itself. You don't need both. I do know people who take both because they just want to, come at it from all angles. But either one is a complete solution into and of
Does
itself.
your body only use so much and then just dispose of the rest?
So they work by different mechanisms. They're both getting the fibroblasts to produce more collagen, but by completely different pathways. No, it doesn't. They don't compete with one another. If that's what you mean, yeah. So, who benefits from collagen support? Men and women looking to improve, visible results, things like skin, hair, nails. Anyone 30 plus who's looking to reduce the signs of diminished collagen on skin, hair, and nails. Anybody's looking to improve the effects on either bone health or joint health. All of these concerns really do pertain and are directly connected to our collagen levels. So in summary, use sun protection locally you want to be able to get the vitamin D, but if you want specific local sun protection, that's great. balance or minimize stress, take vitamin C, eat enough protein, avoid smoking, as if I had to say it, and a supplement with collagen supportive nutrients and or collagen generators. Pick your favorite one. So, okay, and that brings us up to time. There was lots of questions. As Deb mentioned earlier, all of these products are tested, third-party tested by Ishura to make sure they are non-GMO compliant, contaminant-free, adulterant-free, authenticated, accurately labeled. That's very important nowadays. Yeah, that's it, pretty much.